We're gonna give it a few more minutes. Director McAllister will be joining us shortly, but again, want to allow a few more minutes that people joining in. Okay, let me see. Let me just make sure that people can hear and see. Uh, Chief Reynolds, can you hear? Are you okay? Can you connect?
Jamie Fields for Chief Reynolds today, and yes, sir, I can hear.
Good. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good, thank you.
Cantrell, can you hear? Can you connect in? Are you okay?
Yes, sir. I'm on and can hear you. Didn't clear here.
All right. You say you didn't clear?
Good and clear.
Good.
Good and
Oh,
clear.
perfect. I think I see Judge Beaumont.
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Excellent. Counselor Durrett.
I'm good.
I think we got our IT folks on. Who else? I think we may have. Okay, I got a note that Kristen will be about 5 minutes or 10 minutes out. So with that, since it's really her program and her meeting, I wanted to just make sure. One, last week I think we missed our. We were having a meeting last week. We didn't have our host hosting it, so sorry about what confusion or time schedule may have conflicted with some of you guys. But again, want to make sure we did have the meeting and allow Kristen and Ozark, Arissa share some of the information that they have regarding the crisis stabilization unit. I think in our last meeting, I can't recall, yes, we moved to it being quarterly. I don't know if we shared with you that Kristen normally covers the fact that there's probably one or two other counties that have been sending people from their counties to us that are not originally a part of the 4 counties. But Marion County is now signed and on board with being a part of this area, sending folks, as well as Boone County. And I think we're working still with Newton County, because I want to say they've also received clients from Newton County. So anyway, that's been good. That there's a want and the desire from some of the other counties to have a crisis stabilization unit. And so until legislators and dollars and funding is made available to other areas around the state, then for us to reach out and share that, hey, you got your law enforcement officers who are getting the training to come by and utilize that again, it helps them on their jail population and giving people some real help as opposed to sending them to jail. So don't know if we shared that. I just want to make sure I shared that with you guys. since we're waiting on Kristen, let me just go ahead and ask you guys, go around what you guys got going on, and anything in particular for the crisis stabilization unit that you might want to ask or share, or just how's it coming along with you guys. Council, you want to jump in and share a little bit direct?
I don't really have anything to add. I think we're good, and I'm reviewing the numbers, but I don't have anything specific to add.
Okay, all right. And again, I appreciate that. Judge Beaumont?
So I know we just actually sent someone to the CSU this week, and they got out today, or yesterday. So they did really well. So yeah, I'm just very thankful they exist.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I would I would share that I can't keep up with it, but all the national committee stuff that I sit on with the counties and working with the Congress, there's going to be some funding being set aside for mental health. And I know the state, I was in Little Rock with some of the guys last week, and they're working on some things that's going to increase having programs and dollars available, as well as increasing residency for doctors who are working in this area. So there's a lot more coming. And so I think hopefully we'll begin to see, again, some expansion of some of these crisis stabilization units for a couple of reasons. One, again, it is a great alternative for law enforcement officers, but a better use of it is that it really becomes a way to help get those with mental issues, mental concerns, mental health issues, some help that they really can get and really should need, utilize. So again, I think we'll see more of that in the coming year with all the stuff that's coming down from the federal government with the rescue plan and the health. They're doing some things with the health part of it. Chief Reynolds?
We don't have anything to add. I just wanted
I
to
keep saying that. I'm sorry, Ms. James.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Your name, his name is up on the screen. I'm sorry.
I used his link, so that's the reason I'm coming in under his name. So I do just want to say that as a heavy user of the CSU, we're grateful for these services, and we are so grateful for Kristen, because anytime we've ever encountered any kind of a wrinkle, we've always been able to work through it very quickly. So very responsive.
Yes, I ditto that. She really is. That whole team over there is really, really good. We've had to go to the U of A and talk to the students over there, kind of enlarging their territory, and they're thinking about what this mental health support looks like, and maybe expanding some of their interests. Maybe they'll come over there and do some work, volunteer work, or maybe even take that as a career option for them. So I agree with you. Chief Cantrell.
Well, Judge, we're just glad to have the CSU as a tool in our toolbox. We utilize it through the jail often, and then our patrol services use it also. So we're glad they're there, and I'll echo what Chief Field says. We're glad Kristen's at the helm, and she's just always very responsive. Anytime we call her for anything, she helps us work through any problems. So we're glad she's leading the team up there. We're glad it's here.
To the law enforcement side, Chief Cantrell and Chief Fields, how is the law enforcement across the state in general? Do you get a feel from your fellow law enforcement officers and brothers and sisters across the state, their thought about the crisis stabilization unit? I know everybody now, as part of their training, has to get some hours of training under their belt for it. But what is the frequency or the discussion that, yeah, let's use that. Let's spend more time using it. Let's incentivize or try to increase the usage. Only because, again, I know that the discussion in Little Rock is always around the funding and, again, the usage, which is original intent was for law enforcement officers. I think that legislators and I would suggest that we look at relaxing it, that it become more than just a law enforcement tool, but again, that we can work with our drug courts or our clinics and hospital emergency rooms, et cetera, to help our existing jail population as opposed to waiting for the law enforcement officer to interact with someone. So again, I'm going back to what is the general feel that you guys are getting from fellow law enforcement officers across the state in general about the crisis stabilization unit, et cetera?
Well, I think from the sheriff's office standpoint, we're kind of an anomaly. Our sheriff's office, in that as big as we are, most of the sheriff's offices in Arkansas are pretty small and service a rural population. So I think, their interaction with mental health folks and people with needs and people with services are low frequency, so they don't get the interaction that we do. So I don't think they are probably not as educated, don't have as many, obviously don't have the resources. But I think that they'd like to have. I think they'd like to have that ability to reach out. So to get this thing expanded in the state and to include those rural counties. You said Boone and Marion, and if we can get Newton on, like I said, it's a low frequency event for them, but they need something, and so it's good that we're able to partner with them also. That's kind of the sense I get in rural law enforcement, is they don't know a lot about it in the small counties. But they have a need occasionally, and so I think anything we can do to educate them and to make them more aware of what's available and what we've got over here is a good thing.
Good. What about you, Chief Fields?
I would say from a municipal standpoint that we've been blessed in Northwest Arkansas to really give this not just a trial run, but have been largely successful with our experience with the crisis stabilization unit. And so police agencies are always seeking more resources, and especially in this critical area. And we are very good in Northwest Arkansas about sharing resources. And so I think, anytime we can share our resources and work together, we're all better off for it. And my only hope is that, as we grow and expand, that we don't cut down the availability for local law enforcement, because we've really come to rely heavily on these resources.
And you make a great point. I just offered up the fact that we should expand maybe the usage of it as far as who can utilize it. But I would say I think primarily it should be the law enforcement, only because that's how that was the incubation. That was the start of it, was being a tool for law enforcement officers. I would imagine that in our area, to what Chief Cantrell was saying, that, and you too, Chief Fields, that Northwest Arkansas has just been inclined, just because we've had exposure. The population size will give you that. So we have been blessed to have the cooperation we have, whether it be a crisis, emergency services. No, we have just been pull the various cities and counties together to do that. I don't know if that's always the case across the state, and that's why I was asking, do you guys get a sense of something different when you look beyond here? Clearly, if you don't have the population, you may not experience it. And so why pull together with other counties and multiple cities if you're just not used to thinking that way, seeing it, et cetera? But when we struggle with getting legislators to make sure they got the funding there. In fact, I know the 4 judges that have these will be going down to visit with the governor probably in another month or so, just again say, hey, how do we make sure that there's consistent funding going on, so we're not hoping and praying that the legislators will pass dollars and all, because again, this was a state-oriented piece, and again, is a valuable tool for our counties, plural, to have, as well as our mental health community. So, Judge Beaumont, you have any other insight? I know we've been talking about having a mental health court, and again, I do believe that may be not as far away as we originally were thinking with some of the thought processes out there. What's some of your thinking on this? Judge Beaumont, did I lose you? I may have. Durrett, anything you want to chime in regarding those who
Sorry.
may be?
Can you
Go
hear me
ahead.
now?
Yes,
Sorry.
now I can.
Sorry. No, I mean, for a mental health court, we're going to have to convince the other circuit judges for that to happen.
Sure.
But
But
I definitely think it would be highly beneficial in this area. So, and I've been
again, I know.
talking to some of
Go ahead.
I've been talking to specifically, I guess, one of the district court judges who I think has some interest in it too. So that might give us some more opportunities to do something.
And we have none that you know of in the state, correct?
So no, I know there's at least one mental health court in the state, and I think Sebastian was getting one going. I'm not sure if it's going yet or not, but I know that they were working on there and maybe Pulaski.
Yeah, I think Pulaski is the only one I was thinking of. So Sebastian, I'm curious as to where they are. I do know again the discussion of with the additional dollars coming from the federal to help encourage some of the mental expansion, mental health awareness, expansion of tools, resources, and again, I think diversion. If you have a mental court that just really, I mean, largely, what are you seeing in the veterans who come to from the Veterans Court? Is a large number that either drug and or mental mental issues?
So yeah, with veterans, yes. Shoot, I would probably say 75% or more have mental health issues.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Especially the PTSD.
Right.
So we've got a
it's
lot of,
clear.
I would say even with our drug court, I think we did a survey and 75% of them have trauma.
Wow.
So it's really high.
Wow. 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 Well, anyway, I just appreciate some of that and wanted to have some of that in lieu of waiting on Kristen to jump on, but I think that was good. Clearly, when she jumps on, we can share some of that with her. You guys got the report. I think she sent it out last week. And again, they have done a phenomenal work. Dr. Tyler is again spending a lot of time, and she interfaced a lot with me last week as I was down in Little Rock. Again, there's a concern with the health providers. We have Ozark Guidance, Arissa, who is our health provider, just making sure, again, there's consistent funding from the state as opposed to, again, the fingers crossing and hoping that the legislators will approve and pass and keep it consistent until the next legislative session. They're trying to manage a business, if you will, or their organization. It's kind of hard to do. And we know that because every year we got to go back to the budget, go back to the drawing board of what we're needing and wanting. Well, they got to rely on the state government to do some of that. So did Workman jump on? I just saw him and I thought he was, no, he did not. Kristen, no, did Kristen jump on? No, have not seen her. Okay. Hey, let's give it another 5 minutes. Anything that you guys want to visit on and talk about pre-flow? I just want to make sure. She said she thought it'd be about 10, 15 minutes. And so I want to give her that before she jumps on and shares. But I don't want to keep you guys locked up if she's getting held up. Hey, give me, I'm gonna see if I can get in contact with her, send her a text, see what her time frame look like. ETA, 1 second. Director McAllister, hey, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Hey, excellent, excellent. Hey, I know you had something going on.
I apologize. Yeah, thank
No,
you.
no, you're good, you're good. If you want, go ahead and just so you know, I just asked some of the guys who are on just to visit a little bit about uh, in the law enforcement, how are they seeing their peers across the state looking at CSUs, their uses of CSUs, and I think clearly up here in Northwest Arkansas, we really benefit and supportive of what you are leading and running over there, the CS Northwest Arkansas CSU. And what does expansion look like? What does the state legislators, how do they look at continued consistent revenue for the CSUs? And then obviously, what about a mental court? And so I think some of that with some of the federal dollars coming and the expansion of some of that may change and help solidify some of this. But boy, it's always a nerve-wracking piece. As you know, I've been with Dr. Tyler last week, talking with her as I was down in Little Rock, kind of talking through some of this. How do we get some consistent revenue so we know and not have to continuously wait on legislators to approve and not approve? So anyway, that was some of the discussion before you jumped on.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you for having that discussion. That's always a heavy topic. Just, kind of maintaining our consistent funds coming in and just, just being 2 years in. I think, now's the time to be really looking at that consistency. So thanks for that conversation.
Absolutely. So I know you sent it out last week, but you want to go ahead and walk through some of your data, and you guys probably already turned it in then to the state, right?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it was turned in there. It's due on the 10th. So we got it over to the state. But I'm happy to walk through. So what I opted to do this time, since we haven't met in the last couple of months and we were doing these quarterly, so I just pulled some numbers January through March. I felt like that might be an impactful way to look at the numbers. So just in general, January through March, we had a total of 139 referrals. We were able to admit 77 of those. So we are at a 55% admission rate, referral to admission rate between January and March. I will say that just looking at the data, those that were denied upon admission were not a good fit because of 2 reasons primarily. So one being that they required a higher level of care. They were too acute for our particular level of care, or the person was not voluntary. They weren't interested in receiving services at this level of care. I guess the other thing just to highlight is, 34 of those 139 referrals did come from law enforcement. And of those 34, we had a 67% admission rate. So we're over 50% in terms of capturing those law enforcement referrals and doing admissions with them. We did see an increase. I don't know if anyone from Rogers PD is on, but we saw a big jump in our referrals from Rogers PD. So just a shout out to them in particular. That we did see quite a few coming from that particular department. So we had 7 referrals from Rogers, and then Fayetteville, they've maintained consistency. We had 11 from them. Springdale, we had 3. Drug court, I believe we had 3, and this is over the 3-month time period. And then Washington County Sheriff's Department, we had 3. In Prairie Grove, we had 1. So some of those smaller communities, we've seen referrals kind of ebb and flow. And I think this was an ebb for the last couple of months, but hopefully just kind of increasing our, consistently reminding law enforcement in those smaller communities that we are an option. Let's see, and then just a breakdown by county. So again, we're primarily seeing referrals from Washington and Benton County. They make up the majority of our referrals. We had Madison, we had representation from Madison, Baxter, and Boone. Those were the other 3 that we had over these last 3 months. that's kind of the piece on referrals and admissions. Was there any questions or anything anyone was curious about further on that?
Go ahead, you guys, open up your mics and unmute yourself and go ahead and visit if you have some questions. I will tell Mooring that, hey, Rogers picked up some. I think he'd be pretty pleased to know that, again, Benton County's been engaging as well.
Hey, Kristen, this is Christy Belmont. What is y'all's, I guess, COVID procedures now as far as testing and that kind of stuff as far as your admissions?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's been an ongoing kind of, we revisit it often. So I think at this point, our CMO is comfortable with the idea as long as somebody coming from direct from a jail or a detention facility, if we can have a proof that there's been a negative COVID test. So I know we have worked with the jail on getting some of those tests. We do have some here at the CSU as well that we can utilize some of the rapid tests. But if they're coming direct from a jail or if they've recently been incarcerated, so within the last 14 days, we'd like to see a test.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sure. And then obviously if somebody is displaying symptoms outside of somebody maybe being referred from a jail or referred from or recently been incarcerated, if they've displayed any symptoms within the last 14 days, we would ask for a test as well, and then help them either get directed to that or we have been able to work with Washington County Jail on some, if in a pinch, can we get some assistance? So that's been really, really helpful.
Questions out there? Well, McAllister, again, you missed some of your kudos. It was shout outs for you and people praising you and singing your praises, and I would echo those. Chief Reynolds, Chief Fields, again, their interactions and work with you again has been, and obviously our work with you in the county. You and your team is outstanding, and we can't support you guys and appreciate you guys for the work that you guys do, and especially coming out of the pandemic, even coming together and trying to figure out how do you offer. I think that was just out of the box thinking about how to connect with those who are being locked in. You remember that, right? The kind of coming up with the network. I forget what you called it. The those who had COVID and not feeling that they're alone. What was that?
Yes, yeah, our support groups, yes.
Support, yes.
Yeah, being able to do that at the beginning.
Yep, really appreciate all that. And so
sure.
Again, we'll be working. I mentioned that looks like the judges may be trying to connect with the governor and see how we can again lock in a more consistent revenue stream. You guys out there, it's your operations, your business, and yet you guys are trying to live like us in the county, and that becomes a hard thing dealing with the public and state government and for your funding. And so how this is a baby that the legislators and the governor wanted. So let's go ahead and put the funding forward. So
well, I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely. Anything you have for us that outside of that you want to share? And then I'll again ask anybody online if they had anything for you.
Yeah, so I think just as we're, I think this pandemic kind of put a hold on a few things, and so just wanted to provide some assurances that we'll myself and the team here will kind of continue to reach out and ensure that folks know about the CSU and continue to do that networking piece. We had the opportunity to go to, me and some colleagues had the opportunity to go to the Benton County Sheriff's Office this week, and we provided a just what was intended to be a brief presentation, but really turned into a really impactful conversation around mental health and substance use and how to ensure folks are being served in that way. So, I think we've got a bit more pep in our step after having such a impactful conversation with that particular through that particular training. So hopefully we can carry that through Benton County, and then of course reaching out to our other counties to provide similar trainings and efforts.
Excellent, excellent. I mentioned also, I think Marion County, we got their agreement, as well as I want to say Boone County. The only one now that we're trying to wrap up is Newton County, I believe. Well, of which I think all three of them you've received clients before. And so I don't know if anybody outside of those 7 now, have you received any clients from outside of those 7 counties at this point?
I know that we've received from Marion, Boone, and Newton.
Right.
For Baxter, we've received, Madison, we've received, and I think Carroll, we've had some referrals as well. Those haven't necessarily come from law enforcement, but Ozark Guidance has pretty well established communication and relationships in those counties, and so we've been able to capture from there. And I know with Boone, the detention facility in Boone, we've been able to do quite a bit of work within that detention facility. So doing crisis screenings and getting people connected to hospitalization or the CSU. Got it.
Yeah, you have a facility in Carroll County. Is it still? Did you guys rename them all, or is it still the Ozark Guidance there?
Yeah, so there's still it's still Ozark Guidance, and so the greater organization is Arissa Health,
right?
And then it's it's Ozark Guidance services provided by Arissa Health.
Got it. But is that the only one of the 7 counties that you're in? Roughly, Carroll.
So Ozark Guidance covers 8 counties. So it's Washington, Benton, Madison, Baxter, Boone, Newton, Carroll, and Marion.
Okay, got it.
And we don't necessarily have a facility in each county, but there's our
support. Yeah, you got the support there. Good. All right. So, anybody else around the horn? Anybody have anything else for Director McAllister?
I don't know if I'm jumping the gun. I don't have anything, but I think there's some public participants who are got the hands raised. I don't know if that's coming or whatnot, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Other people had questions.
Okay, let's see. Well, I'm trying to see if I can get IT to allow it. If they would send that question through the chat, I can't do it. I'm on a cell phone, so I can't do it. Matt?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can they send you the question with their question is?
Yeah, I just heard there's no chat function, so.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that was that. So if they have a question, I definitely feel free to go ahead and reach out to whoever it is. I don't know if it's, I thought the only person who was on was SISM, but if there's a question, feel free to reach out to McAllister. And I know she'll definitely be willing to answer and support and figure out what it is that they're looking for. Anything else you have for us, McAllister?
I do not.
All right. Anybody else have anything else from McAllister? Well, with that, thank you guys very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, Phils, if you want to share with what you shared earlier, that's happy. Maybe I didn't do the same justice that you did, because it was good.
Chris, and I just passed on to Judge Wood that, you know, Fayetteville, who's a heavy user of the CSU, is very grateful for that resource. And I know the county is also. And we're especially appreciative of the fact that anytime that we encounter a wrinkle, that you're quick to help us work through that. And so we've had much success with that. Thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Chief Cantrell pretty much echoed the same thing. So anyway, appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we will circle back with you at the next one. Obviously I'll be visiting with you as soon as I don't know if it's going to be in May that we'll try to get with the governor, but whatever it is, I'm sure Dr. Tyler will share that with you, whatever that comes out.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yep. Hey, appreciate you guys. Have a good weekend.
All right, you as well.
Yep.
Hey,
For trying to get us recognized.
yeah, sure. I'm sending your question to Kristen to see if she knows, and if not, maybe she can send it to whoever knows.
It's because, I mean, I'm going to address this with the jail. You know, we've been doing legislative sessions, so we haven't been as laser focused on just individuals who've asked and asked for help. There's been folks mentally unwell, like lingering in the jail. Like there's a guy. Well, not getting what I was hoping is like, you know, we have all in this thing that we could start talking about what would be like, you know, a bigger process of doing this, because I talking about like front of mind, but it's like, you know, like I mean, whatever routine you get into, and so you can change some stuff for the CSU and change the process and like whatever.